My name is Malika Booker, and I was the chair for the poetry judging panel. I would firstly like to begin by thanking and mentioning my fellow judges, Karen McCarthy-Wolf and Bill Herbert, who cannot be here tonight. Their passion, dedication to detail, and vast knowledge of poetics made the judging process one of conversation, heated discussions, and a joy. I can honestly, personally admit that dealing with the bulk of the submissions was not easy and not a joy, due to the varying qualities of the entries. And though this made it easy to filter the list into yes, no's, maybes, and though I'm thankful that Caroline did not have a sifting body of people like gnomes in the background, it was quite daunting. However, the enjoyment only came when we all submitted our long list and began to discuss and dissect our selections. The Manchester Poetry Competition is a portfolio competition, and these are poets judged on a body of work as opposed to single entries. And as Bill Herbert states, one of the greatest pleasures of reading poetry is sheer surprise when how we conceive the world and how we imagine such conceptions could be expressed are both shaken. The world turns upside down, then writes itself, and is made new solely through language. And one of the great delights at the moment is that poetry sales keep rising as the Trumps and the Borises get in. One of the delights of judging this competition was not only that this kept happening, but it did so with a variousness of approach that was in itself surprising. Again and again, before, this is Bill talking, before I got into my long list, I encountered different yet equally compelling directedness, new oblique but intimate confidences. Our final shortlist was therefore the subject of delighted debate and passionate advocacy. There's nothing as joyful as a poet saying, but read that line again, let's sound it out, and realize that we're being paid to say things like that. From single lines that moved and disturbed you, to entire sequences that compelled us to reread, these were voices we wanted to fight for, because they too fought and persuaded, mystified and beguiled. And what we ended up with were poets that spoke from underheard constituencies without surrendering personal, that addressed the issues of our day with that seriousness due to the tumultuous times we're living through, but without surrendering a tenderness of address. Poems that seemed to speak for a nation and from a tradition whilst challenging both. The world was turned on its head by all of our shortlisted poets. But because it deserves to be turned on its head, and then it's righted with a distinctive playfulness. As ever, with the best writing, we feel ourselves simultaneously seen, restored, and changed utterly. According to Karen McCarthy-Wolf, we had moments of delight in discovering the many distinct and melodious voices that demanded to be heard and on its own, often unexpected terms. The shortlisted poets, Katie Hale, Muntaza Mary, Lauren Pope, Charisma Price, David Allen Sullivan, and Marvin Thompson, their short portfolios were chosen for their ability to demonstrate both range and continuity. Their ideas and registers harmonized and developed on a longer time frame. We were excited by these formally authentic and socially resonant poems for poets who are reshaping our landscape so as to create a sense almost of literary amnesia, where you can no longer recall what the world looked like before you read them. From deft and mercurial shifts in tone and gravity to urgent narratives, these are poems that change the world from the inside out, reaching out from the heart to capture the imagination. I wish I'd said all of that, but that was all said by Karen McCarthy. For me, their short portfolios haunted. I went to sleep, I woke up thinking of these poems, and they rose to the surface, they stood out. They haunted me with their vivid and resonant language that could not be ignored. And we are proud as judges to stand behind this work, and also excited to be able to witness the future work forthcoming from these poets, which will challenge and stretch our poetics beyond imagination. I know I say we can't wait to say, but I'm not lying, can't wait to say, we saw these poets' power when we shortlisted them for the Manchester Poetry Prize. I urge you all, though, to go online and read the ferocious poems, and I promise you that you will realize that this speech is a poor attempt to accolade, and it cannot hope to capture the impact of the work. And I want to end by asking you to join me in applauding these poets because they made the shortlisting such a joy. Katie Hale, Mumtaz Mary, Lauren Pope, Charisma Price, David Allen Sullivan, and Marvin Thompson are 2019 shortlisted poets.